always something. Always something. All I wanted to do was play the intro music.
That's all you ever want to do.
Ugh.
It never works.
Hey, guys. It never works. Welcome to Outside the Cinema, your weekly source for cult movie discussion. We're your hosts. I'm Bill. That's Chris. It's our first show of 2024, which means it is our top 10 of 2023 show. One of our decidedly not necessarily cult film shows. Because there'll be some mixed in, but when you're talking about new stuff, I mean, we can talk about some of the stuff that may be on our list that we think could become cult hits, but a lot of our bigger name stuff will come up in this show. So
Yeah.
if you're starting with us and you're like, oh, I'll start with their first show of the year, it's not quite what it normally is, but we'll get there, right?
Eventually. Yeah.
Right. I hope everyone had a good holiday season, had a good Christmas if you celebrate, if you have Hanukkah celebrations. I hope that you enjoyed that. Kwanzaa, your New Year celebrations, everything you do. Hope it was great for you. Hope you're recharged and ready for another year. I don't really subscribe to the New Year stuff. My wife hates the fact that, like, I just don't really like that, like, idea of the turning the page. Not that I don't like the idea of it. I just don't. It's
an arbitrary thing.
It is. I understand the symbolism of it, and I think my biggest issue is that, you know, the New Year's celebration is just synonymous with it's a day to just get fucking blotto fucking
Well,
drunk.
that's most U.S. holidays, isn't it? I mean,
yeah, specifically New Year's, and I think that's my reasoning for that. Like, we watched like the Dick Clark New Year's special that they do, and you know how they have like, oh, here's so and so, and they're like, hey, I wanted to wish everybody a happy New Year, and like everyone was like Jimmy Kimmel comes in and is like, I know how drunk you're gonna be, and it's like, why does that have to be what it's about? Like, that's not. Why does that have to be what it's about?
Because people are fucking basic.
Everyone's
and
so
it's Jimmy
boring.
Kimmel of all fucking people. So, like, come on.
There was a couple. He just happened to be the one I used the example of.
Yeah, but it's a definite. There's. I'm not making fun of people because good for him for having a career, all that crap. But, yeah, I really tried, but no, I think he's kind of a dick. Those things attract a certain level of fame, like the B-list TV guys. I don't know if Kimmel's B-list, but he is to me.
No, I think Kimmel's probably A-list. Him and Fallon.
Oh God, that guy.
They're the two late night guys.
Fallon is so bland, and he laughs at everything. Like every joke is hilarious to him. I don't know how the fuck he got hired on SNL. Laughed at everything. Couldn't stay in character.
That's why I liked him when he was on SNL. I like him
I don't know.
A hell of a lot more on SNL than on the Tonight
I don't know
Show.
what I have against him, but I think I hate all late night talk shows. James Corden was
That's
the
fair.
worst. His was a fucking disaster of a show.
Oh, that guy, abysmal. Anyway, all right. So yeah, we're doing our top 10 films of 2023. The only real rules to this is the film had to basically have its major release in 2023. So stuff that played film festivals in 2022 but didn't have a general release is, fair game to be on the list for 2023. And I'll use an example. And I don't know if it's on your list, and apologies if I'm doing a spoiler. We covered the Alien Report. But the Alien Report technically is going to be a 2024 release because it hasn't released wide yet.
Well, it's not on
or
my
had
list,
general
so.
release. Okay. Well, just so you know, it's your number one for next year.
Okay, that's fair.
And also your worst film of 2024.
Oh
also.
no, that would be Suitable Flesh. That's the worst movie of 5 years in a row. That's how much I hated that movie.
Fair enough. Fair enough.
Talk about not getting
So that's the only
material.
real parameters. It just had to have its general release, meaning like normal every guy, public people, not like I get to go to a million film fests and I saw it at a film fest back in blah blah blah. No, fuck off. Like, first of all. So yeah, that's it. We'll start at 10, count our way down to 1. We have Scott's list. So we're gonna break his segment up into 2 pieces. We're gonna have his list come in. We'll do our 10 through 5, and then we'll have his 10 through 5, and then we'll go through and play his list right before our number ones. And then Joe's doing New Year's Evil this week, so we got a stack show. We got to get into it. Yeah, I guess. Why don't we start, Chris? You usually start the list, so why don't we just get right into your number 10?
All right. So I made my list, and then I counted them, and I had 10. That was it. I didn't have any more than that. I didn't have to pare it down and nothing.
Really? I have. Hang on. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. So I have, what's 9 times 7, Chris?
9 times 7?
Yeah. 42?
Sure.
Somewhere in there. That's how many 2023 releases
like 50
I have
something
that I watched this year.
I watched a bunch, but to make the list, like I had to remember enjoying it, which cut out a lot of movies.
Yeah, for sure. I'm not saying 50 odd flicks that I watched this year would be like fighting for spots on my top 10 list.
Okay. I left off, like, my initial reaction to stuff was like, nah, I wouldn't watch that again. So it didn't go on the list.
Right.
So my first one, I'm going to go with one we watched recently that took the time travel alternate reality thing and surprised me with it, which doesn't happen a lot with movies. And I liked It's a Wonderful Knife. That was fun. I think we will watch that along with Krampus and Anna and the Apocalypse every year. So
okay,
it was fun.
I get you. Yeah, it was a good one. I think I have this set up so I can put the trailers up on the screen while we're trying to do this, so you can talk about it a little bit.
Okay. So
I think I don't know why it's not showing up now.
So Wonderful.
I did this for the music show and it worked great.
Well, that's because it's more important. No, I see the 3 dots. They're working.
It's not showing anything though, and the trail is now 3 minutes in.
Oh, there it is.
Finally. All right, sorry. Continue.
So this movie, it's your typical slasher where you know who the bad guy is like 4 minutes into the movie. It's painfully obvious. But what brought this above and beyond was part of it was actually the job that Joel McHale did playing 2 different versions of the same father. And I thought it was really interesting to watch a guy who has both his kids and is happy and has a good home life and everything's going fine. And then after her It's a Wonderful Life type wish, his son dies because she wasn't there to stop the killer. That's not a spoiler. That's real early on. And for him to be the grieving father that's mad at this girl who is actually his daughter in a different timeline, that was really interesting to see, because how would you react in that kind of situation? Like, obviously differently, right, because that doesn't happen in real life, but it was nice. And what really got me was how quickly they reintroduce the danger after she realizes that the wish was made. And actually, we don't realize that it came true. We know as the audience, but she doesn't realize it came true until she comes across the killer again, because she killed him in the beginning of the movie. Okay, I like that. And the villain's costume, not the villain themselves, the veneers. Justin Long killed it with the veneers. That put veneers on anybody and give them a fake tan, and they're the bad guy. That's the new drinking milk or eating an apple, I think. So he was good, but I forget what my point was. Oh yeah, the villain, the angel. I love the pearlescent, like almost alien dome kind of face on it. It was just had a great silhouette. It looked really good, and a good killer will keep me watching a lot longer than a terrible one.
For sure.
So
for sure.
Yeah.
Cool.
It was a nice surprise.
Right. Into it. All right. Let's do my number 10. All right. So my number 10 is the fourth chapter in a series, and I love the series, and I like this one a lot. The reason why it's as low on my list is because it was like 2 hours and 40 minutes long. So my number 10 is John Wick Chapter 4. I love the John Wick series. I kind of am bummed that it's gotten as far away from the quiet original film that it was to start. But I think Keanu Reeves is really like, he's taken this character and, ran with it in ways that I think probably people didn't expect when the original John Wick came out out of kind of nowhere to make people like psyched about it. I think this is an incredible way to kind of close out this chapter of the series, if you would, or chapter 4 or whatever. I did not watch the Continental TV series that they did on Peacock, but I heard it was quite good. And they obviously set this up for another sequel. Whether John Wick is coming back for that sequel or not, we don't know. But I think it's a cool world. It's obviously just one giant fight scene after another. They do their best to kind of explain away the fact that these, and I think I said this when I talked about chapter 3 last year on my list. Like guys got bulletproof suits. So like they like totally like make it as believable as they can, but it's fun. You can't take away, that aspect of it, but it's ridiculous and it's super, super over the top. And I'm a fan of the series. So.
I didn't actually watch that one this year. I did like the other ones, but the first one seemed, this is going to sound stupid, but the first one just seemed believable. Like if he's the best of the best and there's Russian mobsters out there, like, okay, fine. Maybe one guy could do that. And then it got into like half of Kingsman ridiculous, like fantasy stuff. Yep. I don't have a problem with that. As long as they keep it up, you just can't jump, back to, we're going to do a quiet, gritty one now. You got to keep going over and over and over the top. And that's fine, and I'll get to it, but that's not on my list because I did not see it.
No, that's fair. And I should make a mention of a couple of films that would definitely probably fall on my list that I have not included because I did not watch them. I did not watch Oppenheimer.
Me either.
And I did not watch, what was the other big one that I didn't see? Flowers of the Killer Moon are the two like biggies that I'm pretty sure would have been on my list had I watched them. But honestly, in the 7.5 hours, those two films took up, I was able to fit in like an additional 4 or 5 movies that I wouldn't have seen otherwise. Yeah. So I went that route.
Nothing against anybody's taste or preference, but I have no interest in watching Scorsese films. I've seen gangster stuff. It's a little boring to me.
I totally still am into Scorsese and Scorsese
which
stuff.
Which is great.
I just don't have time for 3.5 hour movies. I did watch a couple of them, but anyway, what's your number 9? I'm sorry.
I'm going to go with another one that we covered, the other one that we covered on the show, Totally Killer, because I actually watched that a second time and I didn't do that with very many movies this year. Totally Killer is a time travel slasher movie starring Kiernan Shipka and a bunch of people that look a lot like their older versions, and they're not related. And that was kind of fun. Basically, it's the Freddy style slasher is killing people in the school, and they got to find out who it is before the mom is killed. When I saw that she was in it, the mom there from the girlfriend from Happy Gilmore, who I got too much of on Modern Family. When I saw she was in it, I'm like, oh, fuck. Julie Bowen, that's her name. But she was great.
She was the girlfriend in Happy Gilmore?
Yeah. Yeah, it's her. That's the where they ice skate to endless love, right? That's her.
No, I thought that's Brigitte Wilson.
No.
That's I can't remember. That Billy Madison?
That's Billy Madison. I couldn't think of his fucking name. Yeah. Yeah, Sonia was in Billy Madison.
Okay.
But it was fun, and When the main character there starts commenting on how fucking misogynistic, sexist, and racist we all were back in the 80s, I thought, this is going to go too far and annoy me because I lived through the 80s and I know it was a fucking mess. But it was like one comment every 30 minutes, it felt like. And they were just offhand things that would just keep going, like, oh, that's inappropriate. Stuff like that. So I thought all the teen actors in this were really good. They did a pretty decent job of fucking all of it. I didn't see anything really solid, that was disingenuous from when I was little or younger, I guess. I haven't been little in a long time.
No, it felt real. I mean, not real, but it felt authentic.
Yeah, it was one of the closer 80s films. They didn't sensationalize it. Everybody's house had fucking wood paneling. There was no like chrome and neon, just in the titles right there. But yeah, that one was fun. That was a surprise. Again, I didn't expect a lot from that one.
Understandably so, because Prime.
Yeah, that's a big surprise. But yeah,
fair enough. Okay, let's move on to my next one. Film actually I haven't even brought up on the show, I think, ever. It's actually a sequel, and it's The Wrath of Becky. Did you see this?
No, it was on my I should watch this like mindset. I didn't have a list.
Well, I just actually watched it this week as I was trying to play catch up on stuff. So it's the sequel to Becky, which was the Kevin James movie from a couple years ago, where people were like, "Oh, Kevin James can actually act." And
oh yeah,
no, but he's not in this, which is why I think I enjoyed it more than the first one. But essentially, Becky is the daughter. Her parents were killed in the first, or her dad was killed in the first film by neo-Nazis, and she's now kind of living this life of trying to stay, under the radar, but also like be trained and ready. And she ends up getting mixed up with the noblemen. And if you want to take a guess of what the noblemen are actually supposed to be.
Oh, am I supposed to
Proud
guess?
Boys.
It's the Klan, isn't it?
No. They're supposed to be the Proud Boys. They're,
same fucking thing.
Ultra masculine, complete fucking a-holes that don't care about anyone. But she gets mixed up with them. They come to her house because she was rude to them and dumped coffee on them at a diner. And basically they steal her dog and then also kill her friend that they're living with, and she has to come back and take them out. And she gets involved with kind of like the whole like the leader of the organization. And I said this before when we did something earlier this year, but like I don't care what movie it is, if you're killing Nazis, I'm 100% on board for it. And this one is, the closest thing with the neo-Nazi stuff.
Yeah.
The Proud Boy Foundation or conglomerate or whatever you want to call it, like might as
what it
thing,
is?
no
it's
different.
It's not a group. It's not a whatever. It's a fuck fest. This piece of shit Proud Boy. They
present
fest.
this. They present it in this in terms of like they have got their efforts together. They're going to kill a senator and she comes in and basically fucks the whole plan up, and it's great. And it's and she Lulu, what's her name? Lulu Wilson, does a great job in the role. Like, it's
Is she somebody's
outlandish
kid?
and ridiculous?
I know she is actually somebody's kid, but is she a famous person's kid?
I honestly don't know.
I've heard the name.
I don't really know much about her outside of these movies. I haven't seen her in much other stuff.
Okay. Well, I may check that one out.
But that's
do you need to see Kevin James to get this one?
No,
Okay.
not really. I felt like I got it without him.
Okay. All right.
I mean, like I saw the first one, but like they give you enough of a background to let you know.
Okay.
But it's not. It's good. I mean, this is not something that's like gonna, I think, stick. I think it has some cult potential down the road, more so than the first one did.
Okay.
But yeah. So all right,
Yeah.
we can move on to your number 8.
Okay. I was just scrolling through here to see who she was related to, if anybody. So those two, when I wrote my list out, those two were the only two that didn't end up being in the order I'm okay with. So now I'm going to go with the order I wrote them down.
All right, fair.
And it's weird because it's almost chronological order of them being released. But whatever.
Really? Okay.
Yeah, I don't know. It's just because I went through what I do when I make the list is I go through 4 or 5 different movie release lists for 2023 to make sure that I've got as much as possible. Then I go back and check the titles of the stuff we just did when we play catch up to make sure that there's nothing I missed. And when I went through and I was writing titles down, I got to the end and I'm like, oh shit, that's really close. I'm going to keep it this way. So this one was really big for a little bit in the beginning of the year. And it's the first of its kind where I didn't think, oh yeah, I know how to take that one out. That's easy. Because normally when you're being attacked by something smaller than you kick it like Chucky.
Right.
Just
obviously.
boot him.
Or just step on it.
Yeah. But Megan was intimidating and bigger. and I actually enjoyed that. I thought it was an interesting idea. Creepy as hell. Like just in general, the look of Megan and the idea of selling a little girl robot. That's creepy. But it was another one that was just fun. I think with movies, I didn't want to experience a lot of stuff. I just wanted to have fun with stuff. There are one or two on my list that are like, no, this one was rough to get through, but it was fantastic. But it was fun. We watched it with the kids, and we laughed. And I like Ronnie Chen was really funny, dude. That's on the Daily Show. It's nice to see him getting some real acting roles. Not that the Daily Show is, you know what I mean.
Yep, I know exactly.
Yeah, but it was just fun. I expected it to be garbage, but no, it's a good job movie. I don't know.
Okay, then.
Megan is the story about a doll that turns evil because it's got AI, and AI is the big bad now, isn't it?
Yeah, it is. We'll talk about about an AI thing a little bit later on my list here.
Yeah, it didn't work so much with that Chucky remake, but it worked here because Chucky's voodoo, not AI. So,
I didn't even see the Chucky remake.
It was fine, but no, Brad Dourif and voodoo makes Chucky. Aubrey Plaza was good though. I like seeing her in stuff, but that's not this year. So anyway. I'll stop talking about that.
Tell me how you really feel.
I really feel like this. Ugh. That's it.
My next pick, then my number 8. Hey, let me get the trailer up here. It's kind of one that I think is showed up on most, I think, John Film fans lists. It's Infinity Pool.
That's one that I'm like, God, do I want to watch this? Reminds me too much of Crimes of the Future.
I loved like the front half of it, and I think Lynch's son is doing some good stuff for sure.
Is that the one that did Possessor? Because that was I like that. It was weird.
I think this film starts off really, really strong. Okay. And then as it tries to explore, like he tries to bring the body horror thing into this other realm of also social relevance and stuff. And it just it kind of pushes itself a little too far. So I really liked it, and it's in my top 10, but it's a film that when I went into watching it, and I waited to watch it until later in the year, because I think its original release was like January of last year. Yeah, so it's early. Like one of probably the oldest thing on my list, or earliest release on my list. But it was just too much, like it went too far, and I was like, I'm liking this, but I'm definitely a little brought back down because it's not quite what I wanted it to be.
Okay.
I think it's well made, and I really appreciate where they were going with it and what he was trying to do and what he was trying to say about like the elite and lawlessness, and like if you have money you can do whatever you want, and then also that idea of like you're going to like this like small country somewhere where like your money is worth even more because they they're poor and therefore you can take advantage of things. And I think last year I talked a lot about how I think the love of Pearl and Mia Goth was a little too much, but I thought she was actually quite good in this.
Okay,
so
I don't like those movies based on her character. It just
Pearl and those.
Yeah, Maxine, was that the one that was set? I don't know. It's none of them really felt like it was telling me anything.
Yeah, I think is Pearl the one you're thinking of?
It's whatever we watched for the show. So
I mean, we watched them last year, so I can't remember.
Yeah, I really tried. And she may be a great actress, but I don't think she was in those movies. And was that Ty West?
Yeah. We know Ty West is super hit or miss.
Dude's a great director, but he has made some stuff that it so disappointing. And while we're on the subject, why does everybody love House of the Devil so much?
Because it was the first of those like slow burn, but it was elevated horror. Like,
but it didn't do anything. It did exactly what you thought it would do. It didn't.
I think because it came out at a time where everything was like a garbage remake and everything was ramped up to like having all of the gore like hit you like 30 seconds into the movie.
Okay.
And he took the time to slow burn it. And I agree, not a lot happens, but like I think the effectiveness in it is because when stuff does actually happen, that you are kind of hit over the head with it because you've been kind of lulled into this sense of security, and then all of a sudden shit gets crazy.
Yeah. I can. Okay, so the one person in the car that was killed point blank, that one surprised me. I was okay with that. The rest of it was all like, yeah, what did you expect? I don't know. I also have for real, I have this thing in disorder in my brain that when people tell me stuff, I instantly will do the opposite. Oh, you got to watch this movie. Fuck you. I will never watch it, is what my brain says.
Hey, dude, we talk about that all the time. That's why I waited to watch Infinity Pool.
Yep.
Because I was just like, there's no way that this is going to be as good as people are making it out to be. And I don't even want to have to fucking deal with that shit.
Yeah. Yeah.
Deal with everybody yelling at me about how I should have liked it more than I did and that whole whatever. Yeah. Anyway, all right, let's move on. Let's do your number 7.
All right, so that was 10, 9, 8. Okay, so this one is a weird one that I actually forgot came out this year, which isn't a good sign, but I don't remember a lot of like entertainment that I watched this year because it wasn't foremost. I had a lot going on this year. But the Dungeons and Dragons movie was fun. It was the first Dungeons and Dragons movie, Honor Among Thieves. It was the first one where I felt, okay, these people understand what a D&D movie needs to be. Not the shit with Jeremy Irons, not the awful fucking animated Dragons of Autumn Twilight. None of that. This was good. Chris Pine, when he does comedy, can be really good. Sophia Lillis was in it, and she played a shape-shifting character, which was it was all good. Everybody was good. A little too much with the doubting his powers wizard, but didn't ruin it for me. And there was...
Yeah, this. I didn't watch this, and I definitely did want to. But I felt like when they first started marketing it, they kind of like didn't let you know that it was kind of like a slapsticky, funny comedy. They kind of tried to like be like, oh, here's a Dungeons and Dragons movie.
Yeah, it's definitely then like both. You know what I mean?
Right.
And it actually feels like the party at the table, rolling the dice, joking around and making jokes and doing stuff. And then the serious stuff happens. And it's like, that's kind of how it is when you play, which if you don't play, you obviously know. But yeah, I think I agree. It was like, here's Dungeons and Dragons. Look at Displacer Beast and a gelatinous cube. And everybody was like, yep. Fuck you, we're watching it. And I didn't care that there were jokes in it because that was fine. But yeah, I could see how the marketing.
Oh, I mean, my whole thing is I actually would have preferred to known kind of upfront how jokey it was, because I'm not a D&D player. I've never played. It's not. I don't have a problem. Like, I'm not like one of those like anti like Dungeons. Like, I'm not.
No, because what's the point?
Like that in any way, shape, or form. I just have never played and don't really have interest in it. Like, role play games are not really something that's I've ever been interested in though. So, I wish I had kind of known, because the idea of the comedy of it and knowing that it's going to poke fun at itself would have made me more interested.
Yeah, that makes sense. I got a burp.
Do it. Burp it up.
So yeah, I think that's what saved it. I think if they tried to go straight and serious, it would have been, dude, come on. she turns into an owl bear. Come on, this is funny. Because I mean, if you can shapeshift, you got to have a sense of humor about yourself.
I would hope so.
So it's just fun. If you want something light, it's fun. It's good.
Okay, well, let's move on to what are we at? We're not at number 7s, right? Moving on to number 7s. If you want something light, my number 7 is not really light. It is one of the ones that we've covered on the show this year. And my number 7 is Talk to Me, which I think I've actually enjoyed more thinking about it since we watched it, because it's just got a really the story to it is actually fairly, I don't know if complex is the word, but well thought out.
Okay.
In terms of like the world they're trying to present to you and the type of things that they're trying to show you, and then like the ignorance of the kids messing around with things that they don't really understand. Also just like the utter like terror that then comes along with realizing, man, you've messed with something that you don't understand and we don't know how to fix it and I don't know what to do.
Yeah, I mean,
like,
if you're going for the drug allegory, that's definitely heroin. Oh, this was fun,
for
and
sure.
now it's not.
For
shit.
Sure. As a guy that made a feature-length documentary this year about addiction, like this film does a really, really good job of making a fantasized version of how that could affect people.
Yeah.
And they're like, oh, I can stop whenever I want to stop. And then like, oh shit, now something's fucked up. We can't stop. We need to figure out. It's actually very well done. Is it perfect? No, not by any sense of the imagination. But in terms of like horror films this year, it's easily one of the best, 2 or 3 horror films. Just taking a look at my list here and making sure that I don't overspeak. But it's one of those top 3 or 4 horror films this year, easily. I think the directing duo of the Philippo brothers, like, it's an amazing step for them. Again, they had a shitload of money, so it's not like they got a ton of money from the Australian government. They had a ton of money from YouTube, like. So they, a lot of people are like, oh, there's these upstart guys, but no, they made a movie with plenty of money. So it's not like they're like destitute, like me being like, how am I going to finish this film?
Yeah.
So, but I think it's excellent. I think if you haven't seen it yet, it's definitely worth giving a shot, especially now that it's available a bunch of places. So Talk to Me is my number 7.
Yeah, that one was
Christopher.
That one was
your
bad.
number 7.
I just had issues with the kids constantly doing it over and over again after they see the dead bodies.
Well, yeah, that's
the issue I had.
Drug addiction.
Yeah,
that's drug addiction. Though
they didn't.
Your friend dies,
it just didn't sell.
and you keep doing drugs. Like it's really a really good allegory of addiction.
I guess
like I said
in my head.
No, dude, I'll tell you, man. Going through the making of Don't Forget to Leave and talking with people in recovery and talking with addiction specialists, like there's a quote from someone in the film where it's like, oh hey, when you do drugs and then you go into treatment with a bunch of people that do drugs and you become friends with people that do drugs, inevitably those people are going to die. Some of those people are going to die, but yet you're going to continue to do drugs if you don't do something about it. It's actually really, like, I get your frustration with it. And that's the same frustration with, like, you're in rehab. Why haven't you stopped doing drugs?
Yeah. The only difference here is that, like, these are zombie corpses that will attack you. And that's a little more extreme than the monkey on your back. So I think a little
or walking up to a casket at your friend's funeral.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like I get the frustration.
Getting punched in the dick by a demon is a lot different than, in the movie. I'm not saying anything about real life, but in the movie I would have liked a little more of a like if it's your first time, you just get a tiny bit. It's not the same experience for everybody, but it should be after you do it like 2 or 3 times. It's a nitpick that I have. The monster design is great.
And it's a fair point. It is a fair point.
Okay.
Moving on, number 7.
My number 7 is one that I did not expect to watch. I didn't really want to watch, but my kids asked me to. So we watched and I enjoyed the Super Mario Brothers movie.
I was wondering if that was going to make your list.
Yeah, because like I didn't have 10. So no, this actually, it is the best video game movie that's ever been made. Charlie Day was great. Chris Pratt was also in it. And Jack Black was fun. It was just fun. And the whole thing, my kids love Jack Black and Danny DeVito. So, they're doing okay. But they loved everything that Jack did, like showing up dressed as Bowser to events and stuff. Like they just ate that up, and watching how much they enjoyed it made me enjoy it more. And I'm not super into Mario lore or any of that stuff. But I knew enough to thoroughly enjoy the film. And it was good. Yeah, good on them for making an actual good movie from a video game.
An actual good movie.
Yeah, because I'm like, Silent Hill was good, but no, comparatively, it's not. Not at all. Silent Hill was, in my opinion, the best we had up until a few years ago, and now it's this. But that's all right.
Did you watch the Last of Us series?
Yes.
Okay, I've only watched the first episode, so
did you play?
But I thought that was pretty good. I played like half of the first one.
Okay, then you'll probably enjoy it, because I'm assuming that maybe you have forgotten some plot points.
I never finished it, so I mean,
right,
there was a lot of
but I mean, from early
missed.
on. Yeah, that was good. That was actually a lot of fun. That we all actually looked forward to it each week. And we hit all the proper emotional points and all that. It was, yeah.
Fair enough.
So yeah,
all
that
right,
was
cool.
my
Well, moving
number.
on
Whatever.
then. Number 7. So this is my number 7. I love Natalie Portman, but I always forget about what's her name? Juliana. What the hell's her name? Why can't I think of it? Redhead.
More?
Yes, Julianne Moore.
Oh, okay.
So my number 7 is May December, which was a Netflix original that came out earlier this month. It is the story of an actress played by Natalie Portman, who is studying a role for a film based on a real life story, which was a scandal of Julianne Moore having her character having an affair with a 7th grader, and then having his children and going to jail, and then getting out of jail and marrying him.
Was this based on a real story?
I mean, it's inspired by a number of stories.
Yeah, especially that one whose name I can't remember. But
yeah, I was trying to remember it yesterday when we were watching. And Mel mentioned it, but of course now I can't remember it. Mary Kay Letourneau.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah,
the Mary Kay Letourneau story. But like, she fathered the kid's children, and I can't remember his name offhand. I got to look it up because he's fucking excellent in the movie. He plays Reggie in Charles Melton, who plays Joe. He plays Reggie in Riverdale, which he was fucking great in, and he's fucking excellent in this. As like, he's supposed to be like in his early 30s, and the woman's character is supposed to be like 30 years older than him or so, or like in her late 50s. And it just really explores all these interesting like dynamics of the relationship, and how like there's like questions that are never answered, and Natalie Portman does a really excellent job, like basically pretending to be Julianne Moore and like mimicking her movements, and like it's really, really well done. It is a very heavy story and tough to kind of like wrap your head around in terms of like, but you're like, this has happened in real life, and I don't understand it because it's disgusting.
Yeah.
But like then like Julianne Moore does such an excellent job with the whole like idea of it. And then also there's so many questions that are asked and raised. And then she does this thing, and I won't give it away, towards the end of the film, which makes you question if any of it's true.
Really?
Like at the end of it. Yeah, it's very interesting. And like, it's really well done. It's a heavy watch, but I think the performances in it, specifically Charles Melton and Natalie Portman, are excellent in it. Well written, and it's got this soundtrack to it, and kind of the way that it's shot, that it gives you this kind of mid 90s like erotic thriller feel. Or like soap opera type, like very heavy use of like a mist filter on a lot of the shots, so everything is just a little bit cloudy and a little bit dreamy.
Okay.
And like solo piano stuff. It's very well done. And I didn't really know much about it. I was going through releases and I watched it last week because it showed up on a couple lists, and we're like, even if this doesn't sound like it's something for you, it's actually really well done. Give it a whirl. And I'm really glad that I watched it because it was very good. So May December. It's available to.
That sounds.
It's available to watch on. It's a Netflix flick. So.
Okay.
All right, Chris. We are at your number 6.
All right, my number 6. This is where the movies get better. Because
people love Super Mario Brothers. Don't cut that one short.
It was fine. I haven't watched it the second time, but what I did watch 3 times this year was a movie that shouldn't work when you move it out of the setting that it's always been in. And I was surprised, and what this movie actually did was, instead of sticking to the hard rules of this world, they expanded it, and it made sense, and I was cool with it. And that was Evil Dead Rise. I was really iffy about moving it out of the forest, but I think they did they thought it out. They did a pretty decent job with it. The makeup was good. The acting, the woman whose name I had in my head a fucking second ago, who played the mom. I've seen her in other things, and I'm gonna get this here. Give me a second. Her name is the fuck is she? This is the right movie. Yeah, Evil Dead Rise. Anyway, so then we go to this building, and there's you got the trouble between Alyssa Sutherland. That's her name. There she is. She's 6th. She's the main bad guy, and she's the 6th one on the credits. The only downside to her as an actress is she was in the Mist TV series, and I hold that against everybody that was in that TV series because it wasn't the fucking Mist. But she was great. She played a really nice, sadistic, possessed woman. And what I really enjoyed about the Evil Dead series as a whole is the demons don't really fuck around. They will say the nastiest shit to you to catch you off guard. And when you have a mom talking to her kids, but it's a demon, the level on that is kind of ramped up a little bit because of the emotion. It's not just your friend. It's your caregiver from birth. And those people are there to take care of you and help you, not carve your face up and eat you. But I love the expansion, what they did with the Necronomicon and the words that you recite. I thought the series needed to be cracked open a little, and this I think adds a lot of options for future films. And it had the same look, it had the same feel, but it was different enough, and it was good. I enjoyed it. Obviously, it's
I was not the biggest. Yeah, I was not the biggest fan of it. I don't remember exactly what I said about it when we did the review, but just too much. I guess was my whole thing was like, all right, just fucking settle down.
You wanted an Evil Dead movie to just settle down.
No, I don't. I would have to go back and listen to my review because honestly, I haven't thought about it since we because it just didn't do it for me.
That's fair,
which is fine. But I just I understand some people loved it. I mean, there was a lot of hate for it too, though. So
no, of course.
Yeah.
Of course, probably because it was all women.
No, I don't.
You know how the internet is.
Yeah, but I don't think that's what the hate was on it.
That's fine. I don't care what it is.
Anyway, it doesn't matter. All right, so moving on here to my number 6, right? I got to make sure I number these right because I didn't actually write my list down. So I got to make sure. So my number 6 is one we actually reviewed for the show a little while back. And I think I was a much bigger fan of it than you were. but my number 6 is No One Will Save You, which was the very quiet alien invasion thriller, exclusive to Hulu, starring Caitlin DeVere, and directed by Brian Duffield. It was very quiet, not much in terms of any spoken dialogue, but I just thought it was a really great way to present what an alien invasion would be like in a quiet, small
after
space.
It's taken hold. Like they're well established, you find out. Spoilers.
Yeah. Yeah. But maybe they haven't got to the suburbs yet.
Maybe. Yeah.
But it was really well done. I thought Caitlin Dever did a really, really good job, emoting herself without like virtually any dialogue. I mean, there's no dialogue. I mean, I shouldn't say there's none, but there's like such limited dialogue. And I was finally psyched that like somebody actually made the movie with the like lack of the dialogue and didn't just like use it as a trope for the first 15 minutes of the film or whatever. Right. Like they fully committed to not having dialogue in the movie or any substantial dialogue. You can't say there's none because there is some, but like it's very, very limited. And it's pretty scary, man. It's pretty scary.
I did like it. Not. I don't know. I think there was just something missing because they were like when you watch Starfish, same idea. But I don't know, that one was different, and that kind of popped into my head while watching this. I gotta watch it again and have it be a little more fair about it. But I don't remember hating it. But there's just stuff that I liked more. So I think I recommended it though.
I do too. You definitely were not as high on it as I was, but I do feel like you recommended it.
I think so, yeah.
So, all right. That was my number 6. So we're at number 5. So let's play the first half of Scott's list. Play it now as opposed to waiting because I'll forget if I don't.
Right.
God knows that's what I'm good for. So let me also, okay, part 2 is 5 through 1. So we want to play part 1, which is 10 through 6.
That sounds
And I'm even
right.
playing it at the right time. God bless you. All right, here we go. This is the final week of new release reviews on the show. Well, actually, no, that's not true. Next week is the final week.
Oh, yeah.
But we've already recorded that episode. And you'll know because I played Scott's segments in the wrong episodes. So you'll get the segment that was supposed to be played in next week's episode today, and the one that was supposed to be played the other one. Fucking a nightmare, man. And he labeled them properly. Do not play this on the show that you're recording early with the episode numbers and everything. Nope, still did it wrong. He's going
to label them correctly next time, and you're still going to read the wrong one.
I wouldn't be surprised. I really wouldn't. I'm awful. I am terrible.
This week, on a very special Holy Shit with Reverend Scott, Bill is awful and terrible. Reverend Scott is thankfully being played halfway through the show this time to wake the audience up. And Chris realizes he can't take Rodrigo's twins' baby to Godzilla -1 because babies can't read subtitles.
Fuck.
Let's begin.
What? Yeah.
Holy shit.
Yeah. With Reverend Scott. Whether you celebrate Toyotathon or happy Hyundai days, hope you enjoyed it.
Hey there, Bill and Chris. This is Reverend Scott. And guess what year it is?
Why? What does it matter?
Oh, I don't know. Maybe because it's the first holy shit of 2024. And you know what that means. In celebration of a whole new year, new beginnings, and a new start, we're immediately going to spend an entire show talking about movies that we've already seen last year.
What the hell is this? Like, what is this? This is so stupid.
So as a reward for making it through the first half of your lists, you get to hear the number 10 through 6 of my top 10 of the year 2023.
All right, you got me. I'm in. Here we go.
I'll quickly list a few honorable mentions. Tetris, which I gave a B+ on episode 791. Across the Spider-Verse, that also got a B+ on episode 799. Oppenheimer, which got a, you guessed it, B+ on episode 802. I also enjoyed Pain Hustlers on Netflix, Blue Beetle, and Knock at the Cabin. But the race for the top 10 movies of 2023 is so tight that even getting a B+ doesn't mean you even make the list at all. Which I guess that makes it a bit odd that my number 10 is a movie that I never even reviewed on the show. And I didn't give it a grade either because I didn't review it, despite me reviewing Paw Patrol The Mighty Pups last week.
This guy's a fucking idiot.
Yep.
I believe Chris at least mentioned this movie before, though, and my number 10 is a slightly overlooked horror comedy starring Nicolas Cage and Beast from the X-Men, Renfield. It's kind of a dud in the theaters, and I admit I didn't even go see it until it came to home streaming, but damn it, I'm glad I did. It's a whole lot of fun, and Nicolas Cage hams it up in the best way possible, and it's so overly gory that it's just hilarious. It also has an interesting story, and it brings the classic Dracula and Renfield dynamic to modern day, which I thought that was pretty cool. It gets a solid B+, so go watch it immediately.
No.
In at number 9 is yet another horror sequel that I reviewed on episode 794 called Evil Dead Rise. I think it only beats out Renfield for number 9 because this got a legit review on the show, but it's still a great entry into the series nonetheless. At the time, I gave it a B+, which apparently is the cutoff for even getting considered this year for my list. I think this one is worth a rewatch, even though I'm sure you know all about this one already.
So the story of this is it's pretty simple. It's essentially It's a Wonderful Life retold is kind of a slasher film.
You know what? Sure, whatever. Time to move on. Shooting and stabbing its way into my list at number 8 with some serious gun foo is John Wick Chapter 4. This got a B+ in episode 789 on my review. Maybe the loudest movie that I've ever seen outside of the screeching elevator scene at the beginning of the movie Speed. It certainly wrapped up the series nicely, is what I would have said had I not heard that they're going to make like 3 fucking more of these.
All right, well, fuck me, I guess.
For my number 7, we have yet another B+ from episode 806. And surprise, surprise, another sequel, Denzel Washington and Equalizer 3. Arguably the best sequel to the original, even though there's only 2 to choose from. It's got beautiful scenery, satisfying action and kills, and a quite touching story overall. It really makes you glad that you're not some asshole crossing paths with Robert McCall. What do you think, Chris?
Here's a nightmare scenario for somebody. We're gonna make it gross, and we're gonna entertain you, and it's not gonna mean anything. But this actually has some soul to it at the end.
Couldn't have said it better myself unless I slightly tried. So I'll just move on to the last entry for now. My number 6, back from my review on episode 793, receiving an A-, the Super Mario Bros. Movie. Now, did this movie truly deserve an A-? Who can say for sure?
Because that sounds like some bullshit.
But I do know that this was my 5-year-old's first time in the movie theater, and she had an amazing time with this flick. So that likely bumped it up a bit in the grading for me. Plus, you get the nostalgia kick, and it's a well-made movie to boot. Not to mention, it finally ended the bad video game movie curse.
Shut the fuck up.
Okay, that's a good place to stop for now. Let's get back to your list, where you can most definitely end up spoiling at least 4 of my 5 top movies.
Shit, that's way more than what I was expecting.
Okay.
So until then, peace and love, guys.
You're childish, Chris.
I know.
I mean, we spoiled most of his list already. So
I know, right?
So we're totally on brand, right?
Yeah.
All right, Chris, let's move to our number 5s then, bud. What do you got?
All right, I just want to make sure. 1, 2, 3, 4.
I know I'm being very specific with my numbering because I know what my number 1 and my number 2 are, and I'm like, I know which films I want to include, and I'm like, okay, do I have more than 5 left, or like,
I'm wondering.
we're at 5, right? I should have 5 left, right?
No, I have 4.
Well, we're only at number 5.
Hold on. So I did It's a Wonderful Knife, Totally Killer, blah, 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 Evil Dead Rise, Super Mario, D&D, and Megan. That's 6, right? Because we did Scott's after our number 6s.
So did we misnumber them then?
No. I think you're just confused right now. Because I have 4 left. I know that. Because I only have 10 on my list.
Right, but shit, I think we were saying it was number 6 when it was number 5.
Okay, well, people can figure that out. It's on our list. There we go.
Well, no, let me run through mine. So
Okay.
we did John Wick.
And It's a Wonderful Knife.
Well, let's just do mine first because we went with yours.
Oh,
John Wick. It's about Becky or problems with Becky. No One Will Save You.
Mm-hmm.
Talk to Me.
Yep.
I'm just going through the shit. Infinity Pool.
Yeah.
Am I missing one? Because that's only 5.
Fuck.
Or did I not do my number 5 yet? Or you already did your number 5?
Well, why don't you tell us yours? And we'll see.
Well, no, because now I don't want to mess it up.
Well,
right,
I
so
think
let's do yours
we're
again.
well
So-
past that point. I don't know.
So you only have 4 left?
Yeah.
All right. Well, I guess we'll do my number 5 then.
Okay.
All right. Hold on. I'm not prepared for that. Okay. Hang on. Here we go. Okay. I guess my number 5.2.
I'm so confused.
So am I. We'll say my 5.2. Whatever. It doesn't really matter. Easily, the most frightening film I saw this year. And it's not even really not a horror movie per se, but it's the Netflix film Leave the World Behind.
Okay.
Starring Julia Roberts, Ethan Hawke, Kevin Bacon, directed by Sam Esmail, who also did some work on Mr. Robot.
Okay.
Some other stuff. I don't remember what he directed, but it's also it's executive produced by the Obamas, which is
that's
right. It's basically, this family, Julia Roberts and Ethan Hawke and their kids go to stay out in Long Island at the end of the summer season. And there's some sort of terrorism or cyber attack that shuts down the internet and shuts down everything else. And as it kind of plays itself out without giving too much away, there's this crippling terrorism attack on the country. They don't have any information as to where it came from or what was going on. But the way it's presented, the way it's shot, the way it's written, and the way it kind of plays itself out at the end when you kind of get that kind of glimpse of what you think is going on is utterly fucking terrifying because it is so something that could easily happen. And, we've talked a little bit about the upcoming Civil War movie.
Mm-hmm.
And in this, it's just fucking terrifying.
So is it all human actions?
It's it's pushed in that direction.
Okay.
But there's this just like terrifying scene where they're talking about the cyber attack and all of these things that are going on, and they're trying to get away and they're trying to get off of Long Island, and all of the Teslas, the AI-driven Teslas, takes control of them and sets them, and they all crash, basically locking off the bridges.
Oh, okay.
But it's just it's really well done. I'm not even really a Julia Roberts fan. But she's good in this, and she plays like white mom trying to protect her family with like these little hints of like racial undertones that are not like necessarily really like put out there, but like So they're staying at like an Airbnb, and the people that own the Airbnb show up, and they're a black family, and there's a lot of questions and like all of those things that, as much as I like to say like, oh, that wouldn't happen, you're like, well, if you're thinking about what's happening in this film, maybe that is something that's going to be way more likely than you would expect it to be, I
mean, all it takes is one person with the knowledge and the attitude to do that to Teslas, if it's possible.
Yeah, and I also got to mention Mahershala Ali, who's one of the other leads in this, probably best known from season 2 of or from True Detective and then Moonlight.
Right.
And he also is the voice of Uncle Aaron in the Spider-Verse.
Yeah. He does a good job there.
Excellent. But like I said to my wife, Mel, I go, you can't watch this movie, because she gets real fucking like, she wouldn't watch The Creator, and like she wouldn't watch Megan because like AI is something that truly like scares her. And I'm like, you cannot watch this movie because it's fucking terrifying.
Yeah. I mean, in movies like that, you need them so that it gives people pause.
I agree. But I firmly think,
I'm not saying force her to watch it.
No. That
wasn't my intent.
But like, as a guy that watches a lot of crazy movies and watches a lot of horror movies, this is the scariest movie I've seen this year easily. And probably in a long time, and probably till I watch that Civil War movie, because the trailer alone scares the fuck out of me. So
yeah, I don't like that. But everybody is harping on the same point that I initially had said about that Civil War movie. California, Texas would never, ever. But there is a possibility, with them being 2 of the largest states with huge populations, there could be some backstabbing involved within that, and that could be
for sure.
So
for sure.
I don't know.
So yeah, Leave the World Behind is my number 5.2. I don't know. We'll figure out the numbers later. But so now your number 4.
Yes. Yeah. So my number 4, you've mentioned it in your last review. And this took me 2 watches, because the first time I think I was just looking at it. I wasn't actually watching it. So after we left the theater and we were talking about it, I'm like, when did that happen? What was the plot of this movie? I don't understand anything. And then I watched it again at home, and I was like, oh, okay, I have to actually watch the story and not look at what's going on screen. And that was the Across the Spider-Verse Spider-Man movie.
Oh, I thought it was The Creator.
No.
I fired up the wrong trailer.
No. That one, I really want to watch it, but starting new sci-fi is really difficult for me, because I'm playing Horizon. What's it called? Zero Dawn, the game. And I was talking to Rip, and I said, the biggest problem I have is that, like, when you start a new open world game and you have maps and all this stuff, you have all these new symbols and names and places and controls, and like you have to learn a new language essentially to start up some of those games. And I know that I'm making that sound extreme, but when you go to the same thing over and over as a comfort game like Resident Evil 4, starting something big like that can be intimidating. So that's why I haven't watched The Creator.
All right, getting back to Spider-Verse.
It's the middle movie, so there's no resolution. Everything just ramps up. They better have a good reason as to why Miguel is doing all of this stuff, or they're gonna just tank it at the end. But this is the most successful. What's it called? The most successful experimental movie that I've seen. Because you can't tell me doing 50 different art styles in one movie isn't an experiment.
50, it's more than that when you get into all the Spider-Mans.
That's true. And the people that wrote this, the people that threw the Easter eggs in, everybody loves Spider-Man. You can tell. There's so many little nods of stuff that you think, oh, only I know this one thing about that. Nobody remembers, and it's like there on the screen, and you're like, well, shit, other people. Okay, good. And that's, when you know that the movie's in the right hands. I don't understand why studios would give movies to people that don't like the product. Like, why force Venom on Sam Raimi if he's like, no, I don't want to do a story with him? That's just it. Just don't. Don't force people to do stuff, and you'll get better product.
I agree.
So, this one might have been a little confusing if you weren't paying attention.
Yeah, there's a lot going on. I really liked it. It narrowly missed my list. I definitely think I'm reserving my judgment on what I fully thought of this film till we get the next one. Oh, yeah. Because it literally ends on a cliffhanger. So it's the type of thing where it's like, I really enjoyed what was going on. There was some stuff I loved. There was some stuff I hated. But I like the humor that's interjected, especially when you get all the Spider-Mans, and you got to love that they threw in the me, you, you, you. Yeah. Like, and it's like thousands of Spider-Men, which is hilarious.
Yeah. I do like that this movie challenges the one constant through all of the Spider-Man stories. And it's like, no, this event doesn't need to happen to every person that becomes Spider-Man. And I'm interested to see where they go with that.
Yeah. Yeah, I agree with that also.
That's bold. Like killing Aunt May in the last Spider-Man movie. Spoilers. That really took me by surprise until the scene was set up and you knew it was going to happen. But it's like, Willem Dafoe's going to kill. Oh no, my cousin Vinny's going to be so mad. But you know what? For a movie that was just going to be straightforward, like here's a Spider-Man movie with extra Spider-Man, they did a little more than I expected in that one too. Anyway, that's not the point. But this one, they really nailed each Spider-Man, I thought. And Miles is he's a great character. And the voice work on everybody, Gwen and him, they're all great. They knew what they're doing.
Oh, for sure. Pshaw. Okay, let's move on to my number 4, right? So I've got 4 more films I can talk about.
Yes. Yes.
My number 4 is I guess my requisite. It checks off a couple boxes. It's my A24 pick and also my Nicolas Cage pick. My number 4 is Dream Scenario, which is kind of getting a lot of love right now. It is Nicolas Cage playing a guy named Paul Matthews who just starts showing up in everybody's dreams. And he's a college professor, and for whatever reason, he's just showing up in everybody's dreams. And this is all well and good when the dreams are going well, but then when the dreams shift and start to become nightmares and he's showing up in everybody's nightmares, we get to see what it does to his life.
Yeah.
Every year, you didn't see this yet, right?
No, actually, I don't think I've heard the title. If I did, I totally forgot.
It's fairly new. It just got released widely. And it's a really interesting take, and it's very much an A24 style flick. They put it out too. I don't know if they made it or not, but I feel like it's almost like a thing every year too. Whereas like, here's my Nicolas Cage under the radar pick. And he had that other film that came out this year that was also pretty good that I can't remember the name of it. And I didn't like it nearly as much as this one. The hell was it called? I
have no idea. I know people will watch anything he puts out, but I don't do that.
No, and that's fair. And that's totally fair. But I love Nicolas Cage, and I think this is just a really, really interesting like take on celebrity and cancel culture, and like when somebody is not prepared for it and doesn't know how to deal with it. Okay. There's some really cool stuff going on in it, and it's a very interesting watch. And I like that Cage's character is like this college professor that's kind of like dorky and awkward and weird, and then like he's in these dreams and he's like fucking unhinged Nicolas Cage in some of the dreams, and it's not his character. And then it's like, if you start to think about like, if this guy haunted your dreams every night, how would you feel about the real person, even though he has not done anything? And there's this great scene where he's sitting in like a diner or something, and they come up to him and they're like, could you finish up and leave? And he's like, why? You're making everybody uncomfortable. And he's like, I'm eating my breakfast. He's like, I'm reading my book and I'm eating my breakfast. I've done nothing wrong. I'm not leaving. And she's like, yeah, but a lot of the customers are really uncomfortable with you being here. And he's like, I don't fucking care. And then a dude comes over and is like, I think you're all done, buddy. And he's like, I don't know. He's like, I'm not done. And he gets into a fist fight with the guy. And then you think about it, and it's like, if you're in that position, like, how do you deal with it? It's really interesting. And it's cool. And I think you should watch it. I think knowing you're not a huge Nicolas Cage fan, knowing you don't actively ignore his stuff.
I don't hate him, but I don't need him to freak out every movie.
And that's why I think this one works as well as it does, because the Nick Cage freakouts are so contained and so minor, but they're there, and it works with the character, or it works to be opposite the character, however way you want to look at it. There's no like big reveal. There's no like, this is why he was showing up in everyone's dreams. Like, there's no explanation for anything. It just plays itself out the way it plays itself out, and it's done very, very well. So that is my number 4.
Okay.
Your number 3.
My number 3 is one that we did on the show that I really didn't think I would like based on the guy in the lead role. But there's really not one lead. There is a lead character in this, but like there's 3 people, and each one of them is quirky in their own way, and it's really strange. And it's they cloned Tyrone, which I wasn't gonna watch because it didn't grab me when I watched a quick trailer. I think it was like a 30-second thing. I'm like, you can't sum up that movie in 30 seconds. You could, but it might not be great. But it just, more than just thinking about the sci-fi element in this, they went way above and beyond, and made the whole movie look pretty. It looks very, very pretty, from the foggy neon lights to the excessive color in some scenes to the no color in other scenes. It's just, the story's told visually, sort of, along with what you got there, on set. I don't know what I'm talking about anymore.
No, I know
that whole sentence just died in my brain. Could you hear it?
I did.
Jesus Christ.
Like you could hear the misfires, and then you kind of restarted. So.
Yeah. Anyway, they cloned Tyrone. I recommend, along with Sorry to Bother You. That's one I still think you need to watch. But it sort of feels like that. I'm white, so I know that this movie isn't speaking to me. But I can understand the message that they're saying, and I'm not disagreeing with it at all. But I did expect to be left out of it. Does that make sense? Like, they didn't make it for me. So it's like, you go watch your fucking Evil Dead movie or Mario.
They didn't make it for you, but it doesn't feel exclusionary.
Right. Well, because also I'm open to black people have been treated like shit historically from the beginning. So I want to see what they're saying from their side. Any black filmmaker or actor or whatever, because how am I going to I can't understand it if they don't tell me. So they're saying it. I just have to go out there and look, and I'm hoping that makes me a better person, understanding what people are going through. It's a deep movie. There's more to it than just the weirdness on top. And I'm not always one for Jamie Foxx, but in Spider-Man, as this last one, when he was Electro, and this, he just picks roles he wants to do, which I think is great. He picks these weird, quirky kind of things, because Electro's kind of a weird villain. But in this, he was just weird. He was a weird pimp, and he was funny. So nobody let me down in this. I was pretty happy with the whole thing. A nice surprise, but dark.
Fair enough. Talk about it a little bit more in a few minutes.
Okay.
Talk about it a little bit more in a few minutes. All right, my number 3, The Killer, which I waited to watch because a lot of people had talked about it. I also waited for it to be on Netflix because I don't go to the movies very often. But kind of the David Fincher kind of return, if you will, to his roots. I mean, maybe not roots, but like, you know, Fincher's best known as, you know, the director of Seven, regardless of what, you know, he says. But like, he worked on Mindhunter, and, you know, he did Gone Girl.
Mindhunter needs to be allowed to fucking finish.
It won't be.
I know.
It won't be. But this is his first kind of like film like this since probably Zodiac.
Okay.
And this is still very, very different than Zodiac. And you have Michael Fassbender, who's always excellent and is pretty much, you know, he doesn't have much to say. There's not a lot of dialogue. And the story is very simple. You know, he's known only as the killer. He's a contract killer. A contract goes the wrong way. In this world, if you screw something like that up, they come for you. They come for his girlfriend and nearly kill his girlfriend. And he basically then goes out to take out the people that took her out, or tried to take her out and tried to take him out, so that he's ahead of it. But it's done in this like really masterful, like quiet, methodical sort of way. Like, I guess this would be, if you took Mindhunter and combined it with like Seven, this is what you get. Kind of like, this is like a really good melding of those kind of two ideas, if you will. I loved it. I thought it was great. I think Michael Fassbender is amazing. Tilda Swinton shows up at one point.
She's weird.
And she's awesome when she shows up.
Oh, absolutely. I'm not making fun of her. She's the good kind of weird.
Yeah, shows up and you're like, oh, great. And she has this incredible scene with Fassbender in a restaurant. It's incredibly well written. It's incredibly well shot. It looks great. I hadn't really thought about Fincher much the last few years. I really like Gone Girl. Like, I like Gone Girl a lot. Okay. But this feels like classic David Fincher, and I'm here for it. And I'm really glad that I watched it because it's really good.
Nice.
So, there you go. The Killer.
Sounds like you were on a revenge kick for the stuff this year.
People got to pay. People got to pay.
Yeah. 2023 was a fuck around and find out year. Definitely.
Yeah, seriously. Oh shit, top 2, right?
Yeah.
Okay, buddy. What do you got?
My number 2 is one that I never would have watched because I thought the poster did not convey what the movie was about adequately, so I just kind of wrote it off. But this is a harrowing story of one man's attempt to survive. Not the smartest guy in the world, but really good at what he does. So to follow up on yours, there's a lot of Nazi killing in this one, which is awesome. Mm-hmm. And this, if you guys hadn't heard the review, this is Sisu, which we covered 3 weeks ago, maybe.
Yeah, I left this off my list. I don't know why, but I did.
That's fair.
So I'm sorry. Continue, totally, and then I can say what I think of it.
The only if I had an issue, the only issue that I would say is in the beginning when he rides his horse past the Nazi convoy. That was probably the dumbest thing he did in the entire movie. Just thinking he could drive by Nazis and not have them hassle him. But the movie has to get going somehow, and that's how it gets going. So fine. Right. This is one dude's attempt to survive in Norway right?
Finland, shit.
Yeah. Where after the Nazis are told to leave. All right, we had enough of you Nazis. Get out of our country. And that's really what it is. He has his gold. He wants to just survive. He wants to be left alone. And the Nazis are like, we'll leave you alone after we throw you in a ditch dead next to your horse and we take your gold. And the head Nazi guy was fucking appalling. He was such a greasy little piece of shit. So
perfect
good job.
Casting.
Perfect job.
Casting.
Yeah. And it's just it is difficult to watch at times. It's very violent. And I don't have any issue with any of that. It was such a good surprise. And there were some ingenious kills that I had never seen before on camera. Only in real life, but no, the
Only in
underwater
my dreams, and usually performed by Nick Cage.
Yeah, the underwater fight scene in this was next level thought process on how a trained killer would operate in those situations. Just absolutely brilliant. So yeah, I don't. This movie is not to be taken lightly because it's fucking dark.
Yeah,
and I enjoyed it.
I enjoyed it immensely too, and I gave it an incredibly high grade. And I'm leaving it off my list. I think I knew you would include it on yours, so I'd be able to talk about it. But I mean, I probably actually should have doubled it up with The Wrath of Becky, since they were both about killing Nazis. But I really did love this movie. I think it should be on my list. It's not, and that's my fuck up.
Yeah, no, you have what you have. That's fine. You know,
I have what I have.
Yeah,
I have what I have. If that makes any sense. Okay, number two. I didn't think this would be on my list. I didn't expect to enjoy it nearly as much as I did. My number two is Barbie.
I haven't watched it yet. Everybody else went to see it in the theater, but I didn't.
I watched it. I watched it on HBO Max after it was released. Mel saw it in the theater twice, and Mel goes to the movies maybe twice a year. So,
okay. Well, there you go. That's it.
Again, another issue with me trying to outweigh the hype or outplay the hype. I enjoy the majority of Greta Gerwig's stuff, but like there was definitely some of her stuff that I'm just kind of like, I don't know what's happening. But like I loved Frances Ha, and I liked her. She did a Betty Page movie too, if I'm not mistaken. This is easily the best written film in terms of big budget, mainstream, massive show-stopping productions that I've seen in a really long time. It's so well written. It's presented in this great way that you're not being pandered to.
Okay.
And Margot Robbie is just like perfect in the role. And like, honestly, you say Barbie, like she's not the first person I think of that would be the person to play it, but she's incredible in the role.
I can't think of too many people.
You always go to like Pamela Anderson is like the first one you think of.
No.
But like
Pamela Anderson is never the first person I think of. Even if you said barbed wire, I would think Tamora Morrison's in that movie, and he's Boba Fett.
Fair. But I think this Barbie flick is so smart, and it's funny, and it's sweet, and it's like Will Ferrell actually does a really great job as the head of Hasbro, as the head of Mattel. And I was really expecting to be let down by it. And so I sat and watched it with Mel, and I think she expected me to be like, we got to the end of it and she was waiting for me to be like, oh, it's overrated. But it isn't. It's as good as I think everyone was making it out to be. Ryan Gosling obviously also is incredible in it.
Oh, when he does comedy and actually speaks on camera, he's good. He does a lot of quiet contemplating in his movies.
Yeah. He's great. There's the scene where he shows up at the hospital and he's like, "Can I speak with a doctor?" And she's like, "I am a doctor." And he's like, "But could I talk to a doctor?" Because he was confused because he now is in the real world and thinks that everything is run by men, so he can't fathom that there's a female doctor standing in front of him. It's really good, dude. It's really good.
That wasn't a disgusted. That was just I get it kind of noise.
Yeah. Well, and the whole thing is like in Barbie Land, everything is run by the Barbies, and Ken is simply an accessory. So when they go to the real world, and he then sees that the real world is run by men, and like, oh, so like I run the real world. Like it's really good. And I get, obviously Barbie is like the farthest thing from OTC fare that you're going to get, but
no,
it's
Yentl.
really good.
Yentl, that we covered Yentl. That was the furthest from what we do.
Yeah, sure. Okay.
Barbie at least is like kind of surreal in a way. So I think we could make a better argument for Barbie, but I understand what you're saying.
For sure. But yeah, no, I think you should see it. I think you'll really, really like it.
Oh yeah, I'm definitely going to watch it. I just haven't, said, okay, this now.
Yeah.
I don't know what I was going to say there, but there you go.
It's fair. All right. We should play. So we're at our number ones. Let's play Scott's segment before we do our number ones.
Okay.
Because I'm assuming that's what he wants me to do. He says, this is part 2, the second one after part 1.
Okay, let's speed this up a bit.
What? Yeah. Holy shit. Yeah. A shithole of Nazis.
Yeah.
Hey there again, Bill and Chris. This is again Reverend Scott.
What the fuck?
Yeah, I know this is amazing getting to hear me twice in one show.
Among other things.
So by now I'm guessing you've gotten all the way up to your number ones, but you want to drag out the show a little bit longer, so you're inserting me all up in this.
Hell yeah, bro.
So I won't waste any more of your time. Let's play some catch up. We last left off on an animated comedy movie I took my kid to, so how about we do a complete 180 and talk about a horror comedy I reviewed on episode 817.
Thanksgiving.
Can you believe that Thanksgiving got an A- from me? Well, I hope so, because it deserved it, and I think you know why.
The bitches.
Of course.
No, because it was a riot to watch, and it shows that getting back to basics really means something when it comes to horror. And speaking of getting back to basics, my number 4 also got an A- almost 7 months ago on episode 795. Ending out in an amazing trilogy of films is Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3. And apparently I like this one so much I ended up talking about it a second time on episode 799. And while I feel like it might be the weakest entry of those 3 movies, it's still an awesome heartfelt send-off to the original Guardians team as we know them. I look forward to the future. That is, of course, unless James Gunn isn't involved, then R.I.P. Guardians and Marvel. Maybe Bill can talk James Gunn's mom into convincing him to come back.
Maybe. I'm good with moms.
Oh shit, top 3 time. And at number 3 is only the second of 3 movies to get a straight A from me this year on the show. Reviewed on the show on episode 819, They Cloned Tyrone. Everyone in this beautifully shot and written movie was entertaining as hell to watch.
Everybody's popping off in this.
I'm so glad that I suggested this movie to you both so you could talk about it on the show. What an amazing recommend on my
So
part.
true, Scott. He comes off like an idiot. Like
I don't think he is an idiot. He's just you get to this point where you're just completely out of touch with reality. The reality of everybody around you.
Speaking of being out of touch with reality, coming in at number 2 is the first A that I gave out this year, and my Patreon pick to review on episode 810, No One Will Save You. A movie devoid of dialogue, involving a girl in a town that hates her, fighting an alien invasion all alone.
And that's about it. That's about it.
That's the basis of the movie.
And it works.
Oh, buddy, did it work for me. Now, I know you guys weren't quite as over the moon for this as I was, but it's okay to be wrong sometimes, guys.
Fucking excuse me? Like, what are you saying?
And here we are, my number 1. Starring Vin Diesel and Jason Momoa, it's Fast X. Best movie of the year. Thanks for coming out. Happy New Year's, guys. Hope you enjoyed my list.
Yeah, but what the fuck did you just do?
All right, anyone with half a brain should know what my real number 1 is.
I liked Fast X.
A bordering on an A+ from episode 819. To no one's surprise, it's Godzilla -1.
Oh.
Yeah.
Yeah, that wasn't good.
I'm sure Bill only hated it because he only supports the big budget Hollywood trash.
My teaser trailer for my new documentary has over 7,000 plays.
Good.
I'm a big fucking deal.
Nice.
What's crazy is that even though Godzilla -1 certainly felt like a big budget movie, it was quite literally the least expensive movie on my list to make. Even Thanksgiving came in at $15 million. because the director of Godzilla Minus One was quoted in saying that he wishes he could have gotten $15 million to put into this movie. That's fucking unreal. I don't know what more to say about this, to be honest. It's exactly what I wanted, and I can't wait to get a physical copy in my grubby little hands to put on my shelf and watch again and again. Okay, that's it for this week. Kicking off 2024 with a bang. Maybe I'll start doing 2 segments spread out through every show every week.
If you're not paying me to do this, I'm not fucking doing it because it's brutal.
So until next week, peace and love, guys. Outside the Cinema, the most Boston cult movie review podcast on the internet.
Well, the story starts off.
Oh my God.
Well, thanks, Scott. Your list was nothing but predictable.
And insulting.
Well, I don't know about that, but I mean, I think both of our lists, and anyone that's paid attention to the show is going to figure out what our number ones are. But before we do our number ones, I want to make a quick mention of a handful of honorable mentions, if we could. I had already mentioned Sisu as one of mine that I didn't include. Birth Rebirth was another one that I really enjoyed. Actually, wait. Let me give you a couple that I thought were really fucking terrible, that I really hated.
Yeah, I had more of those this year, and I was trying to be positive, so I didn't.
Yeah. I'm going to start with Asteroid City.
I avoided that one.
See, as a as not being a huge Wes Anderson guy to start, it's tough. It's tough when his stuff comes out, man, because I don't understand the universal praise that he just tends to get. And he gets incredible actors and actresses to be in his films, to do things that they shouldn't be doing. Like, this film has Jason Schwartzman, Scarlett Johansson, Tom Hanks, Jeffrey Wright, Bryan Cranston, Ed Norton, Jake Ryan, Maya Hawke, Steve Park, Liev Schreiber. I mean, he gets incredible people to be in his movies, and every movie he makes gets more pretentious. It gets more removed from everyday filmmaking. And he's always been an arty pop, he's like the pop art type guy. I mean, but this movie just was devoid of story. It was devoid of anything interesting. Nothing ever seems to happen. And I just was visibly angry after finishing it. So that might be my most hated film of the year. What about you? What's some stuff that you hated?
I hated Suitable Flesh. No qualms about it. Like I've said from birth, you either do Lovecraft right or fucking wrong. Yep. And the rights are few and far between. If you see, okay. If you're doing a body switching thing and you have multiple people doing that, I think an internal monologue in the character's voice that they are would help the viewer. You know what I mean? Just like a couple of lines here and there, or something. But there was this is going to sound really stupid, but there was too much sex in this movie.
That's fair.
And it wasn't good sex. It was like the porn Blockbuster used to rent. Just boring. I don't know.
But that's exactly that's exactly what they were going for.
Boring, bland sex?
Blockbuster.
Yeah.
Erotic thriller sex.
Yeah, and that's not a Lovecraft thing. That's not. No. So that one I really, really did not like.
That's fair.
I will tell people to avoid that.
That's fair. I had a couple of other ones that I just really this is probably, a given / biggest disappointment. But Indiana Jones and the Dial of Destiny.
I didn't even watch it.
It was overbloated. Again, another 2.5 hour plus runtime. Ample use of, computer de-aging on him in a number of scenes towards the front of it. and just more of the same. Like, I get it's an Indiana Jones flick. I get it's going to be action sequence after action sequence. But I think one of the most charming things about the original run of the Indiana Jones trilogy was the kind of the human aspect of him and his relationships with the characters in it. And I just didn't get that from this.
Honestly,
I mean, it took me 3 watches to finish it.
I don't want to. I don't like shitting on people for things they can't control. But he was too old in Crystal Skull, and I think that's why I'm avoiding this. I don't see him as an adventurer anymore. Well, and the thing is, in the scenes that he's in, like, you can tell that, like,
he's not doing anything. You know what I mean? Like, and I get it. He's 80-something years old. Like, I get it. You can't be hanging him off of banisters, and, like, I understand.
Right.
But maybe you don't make another one.
Yeah, that would be good. That would be a good idea not to do that. I used to be like, oh, I got to watch everything in this series because, like, some kind of mental completist list. But now it's like, no, I don't want to waste my time on that. If I don't care at all. There is one movie that I wished I had time to watch that I was going to watch yesterday, but I was doing other stuff. That I think would make our list. It says it's from 2002, but it's on everybody's 23 list.
It's from 2002?
22. That's what I meant to say. I just said half the words.
It's all right.
Called Enys Men. It's ENYSMEN. And it's heavily inspired by The Wicker Man. And it's shot to look like the time period, 1973, that it's set in. And it looked, the trailer looked great.
I'll try to check it out. I definitely does not ring a bell.
Right? And it looks like Enys Men, but when I heard somebody say it, it was Maine.
Isn't it amazing? And I said this when we did the music show over the weekend about how we can pay attention weekly on everything that's coming out.
Yeah.
And still we get to the end of the year and you fire up, you do your Google search, top 10 films of 2023, best films of 2023. And without fail, every list is going to have like multiple things that you've never even heard of.
Yeah. Yeah. I do that. There's a fantasy like football thing that we do with movies. A bunch of us that used to work at the theaters. And I was going through the list of stuff that's supposed to come out this year. And I'm like, they're making a Silent Hill movie? Like, what the hell is happening?
Isn't there an animated Silent Hill thing currently on Hulu?
No, it's Onimusha.
Oh, I think there's a Silent Hill.
There might be. I have no idea. But I was flipping through Netflix, which I don't go on that often because they got kind of vanilla. But Onimusha, and I'm like, oh, come on, that can't be the fucking and he puts the gauntlet on, and they made him, they did the art style, not the art style, but they drew him to look like Toshiro Mifune. So, like, they put his likeness in when they wanted to use him in one of the games, and they couldn't or something, but it's good. It's a lot of character-driven stuff, and I'm down for it, but I only watch like 1 or 2 a week. I'm really spacing that out so I can, I don't know, enjoy it.
Yeah, here it is right here. Silent Hill Ascension.
What's it called? Ascension?
Yeah.
Okay.
2023, 1 season.
Huh. The fuck? Why don't I know this stuff?
I don't know. I saw it pop up. I saved it on my list. I haven't watched it yet, though. I'm going to do one more honorable mention before we get into our number ones. It is the Apple Plus film Ghosted with Ana de Armas and Chris Evans.
Is this good or bad? Where are we?
Good.
Okay.
This is kind of like a my camera's working so good you can see my snot. It's very it reminded me a lot of that film from a couple years ago that had Gal Gadot and Ryan Reynolds and The Rock.
Okay.
Red Notice.
Yeah, that sounds familiar.
This was kind of like that, where Chris Evans plays like a hapless guy that falls in love with a girl that ends up being like a CIA spy.
Okay.
And I really, really enjoyed seeing Chris Evans being the guy that wasn't the hero.
Yeah.
It gets ridiculous towards the end, as these films tend to do, but I really liked it. I didn't really know much about it. I didn't hear much about it, but I was scrolling through Apple Plus the other day and was like, oh, I'm like, I like Chris Evans and I like Ana de Armas. Like, let's check it out. And it was great. It was great. So
good.
That's that.
Where did you say this Silent Hill thing is?
It's on Tubi. I think it's a Tubi original.
Oh, Tubi. Why the fuck am I looking on Netflix?
That's a great question.
It's not. It's a stupid question.
It's a great question.
I had a couple things that I wanted to mention.
Sure,
if
go
you
for
don't mind. So,
yeah, definitely.
I didn't watch a lot of movies, but once I got on my medicine and I could concentrate on shit, I started playing a bunch of games. A lot of story-driven ones. That there it is, huh? Fuck, I know what I'm doing. So. Like the open world stuff. Like the first game I started playing, I told you about it was called Control, and it's from like 2 years ago or whatever. But it was amazing. It was a great story. The controls were solid, which I loved. But it's a mystery about in a place called the Federal Bureau of Containment, I believe, and it's sort of like the SCP Foundation, that group of public. Stories that are anyway. And it was just engaging, and it has one of the best levels. Everybody says one of the best levels it's called the Ashtray Maze, and it's a thing you have to solve, but it's got shifting walls and different perspective and different planes, height and depth, and it really plays with it really well. And that was I recommend that to people. I played Jedi Survivor. That was fine. A lot of backtracking. Spider-Man 2 is fucking amazing, but there's no new game plus yet for it.
Yeah, Travis tore through it. He got it for Christmas. He was done with it by day after Christmas.
Yeah. It's great, and I can't wait until they put the new stuff in there. But hands down, the biggest surprise for me was a free game on the PS network thing there called Horizon Zero Dawn. And it's set it's 1,000 years after mankind was destroyed by the machines they created. But it's the game with the redheaded tribal-looking girl shooting arrows at robot dinosaurs and stuff. There's not many dinosaurs, but it sounds really stupid. Like, how are you going to take down shit with a bow and arrow? But you know what? It's fucking satisfying. And as soon as we're done here, I'm going to go play that again. I have put like 50 hours into this thing in 3 weeks. And I am collecting every fucking thing in it. And I know I like a game if I'm like, I'm going to run to the opposite side of this map, climb this fucking mountain and look for this tiny horse figure. But that was really fun. And
I do want to make mention, I mentioned it briefly, but we did record our top 10 albums of 2023 Patreon episode this past weekend. Myself, Melissa, and Bro went through our top 10 albums of the year. We had a bunch of honorable mentions, a bunch of EPs. We really I created a whole thing for it. You can watch the video of it on the Patreon or the audio on the Patreon. Listen to the audio on the Patreon. If you haven't signed up for it, patreon.com/outside the cinema. That lives exclusively there. That's only a Patreon episode, like all the music episodes have been for the last couple of years. But it's really good and a ton of great music. We had a good live audience that came out for it. Those shows are always better when there's a live audience element that we can bring in people's lists and people's suggestions, and went really, really well. Very happy with it. We're going to be doing some more stuff with Residency Records later on this year, maybe some on-site podcasting and stuff too. So check that out if you haven't. If you're also not a member of the Patreon, patreon.com/outside the cinema. That's the place to go. That money that comes in supports the show 100%. It keeps paying the bills for the hosting and for the internet and all that fun stuff. And it's the best way to support the show.
So yeah, I don't do the music shows with you because I generally stay in that comfort zone of
that's fair.
I know this, but I have two music related things to say.
Okay, hit me.
One is I think the Billie Eilish song from Barbie is going to win the best Oscar song because that is a sad, good fucking song.
Yeah, it should be the Charlie XCX song from Barbie, but that's all right.
I've gone through since I've started the medication, done a bunch of stuff like the I had this month period where I couldn't control my emotional reactions, and I watched Eilish do this. I don't care if this is embarrassing, but I watched her do that song. What was I made for? On Saturday Night Live, and it was just her on a piano, and I just broke down. It was awful, and. Songs don't do that to me, so
a
that's
male
why.
Showing his emotions. How dare he?
I know that's It was bad. It was really bad. Like I'm thinking, like the girls are getting older, they're gonna leave soon. Like you get so little time with them. I was literally like in a ball, just ugly crying. But on the other hand, I have a new band. It's a girl group, so there's a surprise. But. They're from
That's not
Japan.
really a surprise with you. You tend to like the female-fronted stuff.
Yeah. Well, I like unique voices and styles. That's why Mike Patton was like always in my brain from birth because like I knew it was coming. But like,
well,
the
let's
lead
not
singer,
forget about when you discovered
Ghost.
No.
Wigwam.
Nope. The group that's the Three Sisters. Why can't I think of their name? I keep saying Halsey. It's not Halsey. Shit, what the hell?
Oh, Haim.
Haim. Yes. Yeah. When you discovered them and wouldn't fucking stop talking about them.
I thought it was only a little bit. Anyway, so the group is called Atarashi Gakko, and the song that got me was is called Tokyo Calling. It was released in October, and it's kind of an upbeat kind of thing, like we are the future and we're going to make it better for everybody kind of thing. But they dress in the sailor school outfits. They also dress up like Ultraman humans, not the things, but like the Science Patrol guys or G-Force or whatever you want to call it. And they kind of embrace the whole culture of tokusatsu kind of stuff. They dance in a cityscape that Godzilla would generally destroy. And it's just a fun song. So I'm going to keep checking them out.
Cool.
Yeah.
All right. I think it's time for number ones. Anyone that has been paying attention, knows what your number one is, right?
I don't know. Do they?
What do you mean? No, they should. If anyone paid any attention at all, they should know what your number one is.
Okay.
Am I right?
Now?
Yeah, now.
All right. I'm not even going to build this up or anything.
Am I right, though? I must have it right?
I don't know. You playing the trailer there?
Yeah. You don't have the window open in front of you?
What is this bullshit you're showing here? A lot of dust and shit. Japanese people. Yes, obviously. Godzilla -1 is the best made Godzilla movie. It's not the most fun because it is fucking depressing. But it is the first Godzilla movie outside of Godzilla versus Megalon, where you actually care. I'm kidding about the characters, because Godzilla is essentially in this a third nuclear bomb on Japan, and it's about how are these civilians, because the war's over, how are these civilians going to survive this attack? And they can't, and it's awful, and it actually takes place over 5 or 6 years. It might be more. I've only seen it once, so like there was a lot to take in, but it's a great design for Godzilla. It's almost feral looking, but there's a little bit of intelligence in the eyes, unlike Form 4 and 5 of Shin Godzilla, where it's just those blank fish eyes on the little one walking across the ground. We all four of us went to see it, and we all loved it, which I thought was a fluke, but it's just well made. And the scientist looking guy with the curly hair, sort of wavy hair, and the glasses, when he first showed up, Rip leaned over to me and said, that guy belongs in this movie. Basically, he looks like every guy. And I'm like, well, I'm thinking about it later. I'm like, well, he's probably a little nod to the scientists that came up with Oxygen Destroyer and all that. But it really just fits. I loved the power up where his fins pop out And then when it fires, it's like they're like control rods in a nuclear reactor. And his blast when it hits the ground is actually an atomic mushroom cloud. So they really played up that aspect of it. But and there's also a regeneration factor which plays into the movie and makes it more difficult for the humans. I cannot recommend this highly enough. Even if you are not a Godzilla fan, if you like just drama, fucking fantastic. It really is. Not my favorite, but it is the best so far.
I haven't seen it, so I have nothing to say. Everything I've seen about it looks amazing. Everyone I know that's seen it loved it. So I didn't have time to get out to the theater, and
yeah,
I'm sure.
But it's probably still out there because it was only supposed to be one weekend, and then they're like, no, people are coming.
People love it. All right, let's go.
Let's put out a black and white version now. It's like, yeah, fucking yeah. Good job.
Cool. Good pick, man. Good pick. Good list this year. Solid. Okay.
Yeah. I wish I watched more.
That's all right, though. I mean, but you watched enough stuff to have a really solid list. I mean, every movie you mentioned showed up on someone else's list somewhere, or Scott's list, or my
That's true.
So, again, if you've been paying attention, my number one is not going to be a surprise. Chris already mentioned it on his list. Scott already mentioned it on his. My number one is They Clone Tyrone. I loved this movie. I loved everything about the look. I loved everything about the feel, the writing, the acting, the social commentary. Everything about it I thought was fucking great. Jewel Taylor obviously doing an incredible job directing this. John Boyega as Fontaine, killer. Jamie Foxx, killer. Tiana Paris, killer. I mean, everything about this was stellar. I mean, it's
this movie made me reconsider my opinion of Boyega.
Yeah, he's so good in it. He should play Kang the Conqueror.
Yeah, absolutely. He actually looks like a younger version of him a little bit.
It should happen.
Majors,
yeah,
Jonathan
I mean,
Majors.
we know Majors is gone already, so
Kang the Convict.
Here's the thing, man. I think I'm done with Marvel.
I did not watch the Marvels or Loki. I
didn't watch the Marvels. I didn't watch Loki. I didn't watch Ant-Man.
I watched Ant-Man, but it wasn't great. We watched it because we ran it at work for a few weekends.
Oh, okay.
And on a dome, it was actually difficult to watch.
Bet.
It's not made for that. But it was nice because it was just me and my wife. Ellen loves Paul Rudd for obvious reasons. So, we just enjoyed it. Didn't matter if it was good or not. We had a good time. But I won't watch it again.
So sorry, I totally got off pace there, but They Clone Tyrone is my favorite film of the year. I think it's anybody that is a movie fan of this show will thoroughly enjoy this movie. I can't imagine how you would watch it and not like it. You know what I mean? Like,
or at least appreciate the effort that was put
100%,
into it.
100%.
Yeah.
So those are our lists. Those are our top 10 films of 2023. There's no better way I feel to close out this year of shows for 2023 than closing off with our good buddy Joe and his review of what is the best known New Year's horror film, and New Year's Evil. And I haven't listened to the segment yet, and I hope to God he watched it. Otherwise, that interest means nothing.
Oh, it's not Ghostbusters 2?
Happy New Year, Bill. Happy New Year, Chris. And Happy New Year, OTC Nation. It's your boy Joe here. And, this week Bill took me to a party in L.A. because he made me watch New Year's Evil to kick off 2024. What was I just saying? When the slasher genre blew the fuck up like the SS Mont Blanc in 1917, wrapping the story around a holiday or some sort of festival or event became the go-to plot device for like 9 out of every 10 horror movies. I guess you can't really blame them for doing that. I mean, it makes sense. On one hand, you could get all high-minded, TED-talky, philosophical about how little difference there is between the ancient rituals of early civilizations and how blood sacrifice was usually involved. So, modern holidays and festivals are a perfect canvas for someone who was wronged to get their bloody revenge. Also the plot of 9 out of 10 slashers. On the other hand, it's just a really good and easy excuse to get a bunch of victims, people, together in the same place at the same time, so they are not much more than feathered-haired, bikini-clad cattle who are practically begging to become a statistic. But not before showing us their tits. Personally, one of my favorite tropes of 80s slasher horror is the mask. Give me 90 minutes of good-looking people getting covered in Caro syrup and red food coloring, while a nearly superhuman killer in a cool mask is running around all willy-nilly, stabby-stabby, and I'll be an easy audience for you. Some nerd ran around a train looking like Gene Shalit on a bad day, and I fucking love that movie. That's a terror train for the one person listening who might not have gotten it. Do yourself a favor and read Doug Bradley's book, Behind the Mask of the Horror Actor. I think I may have recommended that before. It's a really great read, and Pinhead has some really good insights. But there's a movie to watch here. We went from Black Christmas to Halloween to Friday the 13th to New Year's Evil. If I hadn't already known that this movie took place in 1980, boy, I could have guessed it in the first 60 seconds by how the people are dressed and their hair. I know I obsess about that a lot, but it's just fun. Every decade transition is rough, but the 70s to the 80s was more awkward than the first time you ask someone to dance with you. It's fucking hard out here in these streets.
Yeah.
Also, they got to the black person dies first stereotype, in record time. My beautiful Nubian princess was just trying to get dolled up for this big New Year's Eve radio broadcast before Jay White showed up, and she got iced with a switchblade a mere 3 minutes and 56 seconds into the movie, and another black person does not show up until the very end.
Oh.
This was odd-faced Grant Kramer's first movie. You know Grant as the main dude, I think his name was Mike, in Killer Clowns from Outer Space. Let's face it, the dude has a weird face.
Mike Coffee.
But he was also in Hard
Cigarettes?
Bodies,
What was his name?
Killer Clowns from Outer Space, obviously New Year's Evil, and Auntie Lee's Meat Pies. So, I don't know.
Oh, yeah.
Who am I to dunk on how not human his face looks? He is my early pick for the killer. He's the son of a popular DJ who has no time for him. She's doing a live broadcast ringing in the new year in each time zone when the killer phones in to say that he's going to unalive one person at each of the time zones' celebrations. Boy, I made that sound a lot more complex than it is. And he's going to end with her, the DJ, in the Pacific time zone. He's apparently forgetting about the Hawaii Aleutian Standard Time.
Overrated.
What a dick. Sorry. I Googled for that joke. He's my early pick because they made damn sure to establish that his feelings are mad hurt due to his mom not being, much of a mom. I can't relate. My mom was a good mom.
I don't know what you're talking about.
She also wasn't a mega popular radio DJ. She was a dog groomer. It's a slightly less glamorous job. So we go back and forth between mediocre songs performed by, I'm going to have to guess, Menachem Golan's nephew. That's the only way this band could have gotten in this movie. It was made by Canon, so Golan was probably like, sure, yeah, come on, be in the movie. Their songs are the scene transitions, and I don't hate that format. There's a big live radio broadcast, and a song is a way to, go from one scene to another. I don't hate the format, but God, I hate this band. This deviates from the norm in that we see the killer plainly after the first kill. He is some dude. That's it. So far, that's just it. He's just a guy. A guy hauling around multiple changes of clothing, a tape recorder the size of a goddamn shoebox to record his nefarious deeds, and a decent amount of cocaine to lure his victims. The 80s. Now, far be it for me to criticize the logistics of a serial killer, but this guy is hauling around so much gear and keeping himself to such a tight timeline that it's honestly stressing me out. I love that one of my favorite touches here, the killer has a hard time with this. Like, it's taking effort. They're showing him taking effort to do all of this. He's not the reanimated corpse of a drowned kid. He's not a doll possessed by anyone, or even a 300-pound inbred hillbilly with a chainsaw. He's like 5'9", 165 pounds maybe, and presumably inexperienced at all of this, so it's hard for him, and they show it. Though, to be fair, it's not like you can get an associate's degree from your local university extension program in serial killing. That'd be weird. Turns out the killer is the DJ lady's husband, who they lightly explained away in the beginning as being stuck in Palm Springs at a work party. The DJ even complains that he's always gone and is probably getting all coked up with floozies. Which leads to the best part, the reasoning behind all the killing. He's pissed because she is not there for him or their son, and she didn't give him enough money. He literally has her in an elevator, knife to her throat, and starts crying about how little money she gives him. That's it. The whole reasoning behind this is just selfish, small-dicked misogyny. He quotes Hamlet like a dick before taking a swan dive off the roof, and then we get the obligatory twist that's not really a twist ending, while the son has killed the ambulance driver with mom in the back. It's kind of like the Twilight Zone movie ending, except flatter than Hank Hill's butt. Here's the thing. The good. It's got that really awesome, like, grimy, grainy look of a low to mid-budget 80s horror flick. And if you don't like that, what are you doing listening to this podcast? It's great. While not really extreme in any way, it definitely satisfies that spot in your brain that likes a mean-spirited film, like Maniac. The bad. This was an early Golan Globus canon picture, and storytelling and screenwriting were not exactly on the menu at that time.
No, definitely not.
Oh, and the fucking band. They have this band play like a half a dozen times in this movie, and it made me never want to listen to music again. New Year's Evil was good and gets a pass. It's not a classic, like, it's known. It's got that status, like everybody saw it in their local video stores. But it's not bad at all. So, Bill, what are you going to try to break me with next, homie?
Well, I think enough time has passed since my rewatch of it, but I think it's time we do Hellraiser. I think we do the Hellraiser series, Joe.
All right, OTC Nation, you heard the man. I'll be back with that next year, huh?
Well, it's this year.
Oh, sorry. Until then, be good, everyone.
Thank you so much, Joe. Look forward to hearing your thoughts every week. Look forward to hearing your thoughts to Hellraiser Deader eventually. And with that review, we put the final close on 2023 and we start 2024. So, yeah, cool, right? So, we're going to be doing films from 2014 for the next handful of episodes. And then we switch over we start season 16 of OTC in about a month, I think. Maybe 5 weeks. So I got to figure out the numbers because since we were off the air for the first time since we started broadcasting this past year, we have less movies to pick from our year-end, our switch over when we do the 10 best reviews from the previous year or whatever. But so I'll figure it out. It's coming up at the beginning of February. Thank you guys so much for supporting the show. If you would like to support the show and you don't already, go to patreon.com/outsidethecinema. That's where you can get all the music shows. You get a link to the archive and all that fun stuff. So that's really all I got, man. I hope you guys enjoyed the list. Let us know your thoughts on Facebook and those places. Chris, anything real quick? Cool. All right. Hey, everyone, enjoy the new year and hope everyone is well. Talk to you soon. Bye-bye.
Bye.